You didn't leave. They did. And the worst part? They never told you why. One day they were there. The next, silence. No fight. No warning. Just gone. And you've been replaying every conversation, every moment, wondering what you did wrong. But here's what nobody tells you. It wasn't about you. There's a certain kind of person in this world. You've probably met one. Maybe you are one. Someone who, at some point in their life, made a quiet, invisible decision. I'm done. Not with one person, not with a situation, with everyone. They stopped returning calls. They let friendships fade. They skipped family gatherings. They built a life that looked peaceful. From the outside, but on the inside, they were disappearing, piece by piece, person by person. And the question that haunts everyone left behind is always the same. Why? Why would someone choose loneliness over connection? Why would someone walk away from people who genuinely cared about them? Why would someone rather be alone? Truly, deeply alone than let someone in? The answer isn't simple, but it is deeply human. Think about the first time you ever trusted someone completely. The kind of trust that makes you feel weightless, like you can finally exhale after holding your breath for years. Now imagine that person hurt you. Not a small hurt. The kind of hurt that rearranges something inside you. The kind you don't talk about, because even the words feel dangerous. That's where it starts. For most people who cut everyone off, there wasn't one dramatic moment of betrayal. There were dozens. Small ones, quiet ones. A parent who made you feel like a burden. A friend who shared your secret. A partner who made you feel invisible. A family that confused love with control. And every single time the brain learned something, it quietly recorded, closeness equals pain. It sounds simple, but the implications are enormous. Because once the brain makes that connection, once it deeply believes that letting people in leads to getting hurt, it starts doing something fascinating. It starts protecting you. Without your permission, without your awareness, it begins to recoil from intimacy the way a hand recoils from a flame. And that recoil? That is not coldness. That is survival. Psychologists call this avoidant attachment. But forget the label for now. What it actually looks like is this. A person who genuinely wants connection, but is terrified of it. Someone who watches other people laugh and bond and belong, and feels a hollow ache in their chest, but still cannot bring themselves to reach out. Because reaching out means being seen. And being seen means being judged. And being judged means being rejected. And rejection is the one thing their nervous system has decided it simply cannot survive again. So they disappear first. Before you can leave them, before you can hurt them, before you can see the parts of them they're most ashamed of. It's not manipulation. It's not selfishness. It's a person doing the only thing they know how to do when love starts to feel like a threat. There's a woman. Let's call her Mia. Mia was, by every measure, a good friend. Thoughtful, loyal, the kind of person who remembered your birthday and showed up when things fell apart. People loved her, and for a while she let them. But somewhere around her late 20s, something shifted. She started canceling plans, first occasionally, then consistently. She stopped answering messages. She told herself she was just tired, needed space, an introvert recharging. But it wasn't that. What Mia couldn't say out loud, what she barely admitted to herself, was that she was exhausted. Not from people, from the performance of being okay around people, from pretending that the wounds she carried weren't bleeding, from smiling in rooms full of people who loved her while feeling completely, utterly invisible. So she left, quietly, kindly even. No scenes, no explanations, just a slow, deliberate retreat from everything and everyone who made her feel anything at all. And here's the part that will stay with you. She didn't leave because she didn't care. She left because she cared too much and had no idea what to do with that. There's a moment, and if you've ever been here, you'll know exactly what this feels like, where you're lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, and you realize that you actually miss people, that the silence you built so carefully around yourself is starting to feel less like protection and more like a prison. That somewhere beneath all that armor, there is a version of you that is so desperately lonely it aches. That moment is important, because that moment is the truth speaking. The walls we build to protect ourselves are built with real pain, real fear, real experiences that taught us again and again. That connection is dangerous, and those walls worked. For a while, they kept the pain out. They kept us safe. But walls don't know the difference between danger and love. They just block everything. And that's the cost. The loneliness isn't a side effect. It's the price of the protection. And at some point, every person who has cut everyone off has to ask themselves a very quiet, very terrifying question. Is the protection still worth the price? Here's what I want you to understand. Whether you are the one who left or the one who was left, if you are the one who has been cut off, who has been ghosted, abandoned, quietly removed from someone's life without explanation, please hear this. The absence of an explanation is not evidence of your worthlessness. People who withdraw don't do it because you weren't enough. They do it because they don't yet believe that they are enough. They do it because somewhere inside them lives a terrified child who decided long ago that love always comes with a price they can't afford to pay. Their leaving is about their wound, not your worth. And if you are the one who has been doing the leaving, if you've been slowly building a life that keeps everyone at arm's length, if you feel a complicated sense of relief every time you cancel plans, if being alone feels safer than being known, this is not a judgment. This is a recognition. You built those walls for a reason, and those reasons were real. But here is what's also real. The version of you that is hiding behind those walls deserves more than safety. It deserves to be seen, to be known, to be loved, not despite the broken parts, but including them. Healing doesn't mean you have to open every door at once. It doesn't mean you have to trust everyone. It doesn't even mean you have to explain yourself. It just means, maybe, leaving one window open. Just a little. Just enough to let some light in. The people who cut everyone off are not cold. They are not broken. They are not lost causes. They are people who were hurt in places that didn't show and who responded the only way they knew how. They are waiting, most of them, even if they don't know it. Waiting for a world that finally feels safe enough to step back into. And maybe, if you've been waiting too, this is your reminder that the door doesn't have to stay closed forever. You don't have to heal all at once. You don't have to understand everything right now. You just have to be willing to ask the questions, to sit with the discomfort, to consider, even for a moment, that maybe, just maybe, connection is still possible for you. Even now, especially now. If this video found you today, it wasn't by accident. Share it with someone who needs to hear this, someone who's been quiet a little too long, someone you haven't heard from in a while, someone whose silence you've been trying to understand. And if you want to keep exploring the hidden layers of the human mind, subscribe to Inner Psychology. Every video on this channel is a conversation, one that I hope makes you feel a little less alone and a little more understood. Because that's why we're here, all of us.